Discover the incredible journey of finding an unexpected Valentine's date in just 24 hours. Emily's heart raced as she prepared for another Valentine's Day shift at Joe's Diner, where the scent of grease and burnt coffee mingled with the sweet anticipation in the air. Couples giggled over shared milkshakes, their hands intertwined across sticky tabletops. Each joyful laugh was a reminder of what she lacked. A tightness settled in her chest, a familiar ache of loneliness clung to her like a shadow. Achi 28 working long hours to support her mother and younger brother left little room for romantic dreams. Just days away from February 14th, she resigned herself to another night serving lovers, wearing a smile that masked her sadness. But life took an unexpected turn. Her estranged father, the man who had walked out on them years ago, arrived back in town, looking every bit as hollow as the memory she clung to. Once a respected businessman, he now shuffled like a ghost through the diner, searching her face for a spark of forgiveness. She felt a wave of anger mixed with something softer, more confusing. "You don't get to waltz back in," she thought bitterly. But in that moment, vulnerable and raw, they struck a deal. Emily would find a Valentine's date in the next 24 hours. And maybe, just maybe, it would lead them back to each other. With a lighter heart, but an equal measure of pressure, Emily spent the day darting around Maplewood, enlisting her fellow waitresses for help. Half the town cheered her on, pouring sweet tea and offering encouragement. "You can do this, Em," they shouted. But amidst the support, whispers of doubt echoed. She was just a townie, stuck between the wealthy newcomers her father had once belonged to and the locals struggling to make ends meet. The clock ticked, and Valentine's Day loomed larger, each second stoking anxiety within her. She set her sights on Jake, the charming entrepreneur who had recently opened a trendy cafe. She imagined a sweet evening filled with laughter, the warmth of connection. But when she finally spoke to him, he turned out to be more interested in her father's faded legacy than in her. Her heart sank, anger clashing with disappointment. This was not what she wanted. A betrayal from an unexpected source crashed down on her like ice water, leaving her breathless. Standing amidst the chaos of Valentine's Day preparations, fighting tears, she realized she was at a crossroads. Should she risk her heart for fleeting happiness, or focus on what truly mattered, healing her family's rift? As the community of Maplewood rallied around her, familiar faces reminded her of the strength in unity and the love that had always been just a footstep away. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the deadline approached, Emily felt the weight of her heart heavy, with longing for both love and family. Would she find her perfect match among the love songs singing in the background? Or would the chance to mend her relationship with her father slip away? Standing at the precipice, she took a deep breath. The answer to her heart's longing might intertwine with her family's fractured pieces, yet hope surged within her. Could she embrace both love and family, and finally take that first step toward a future she had only dared to dream? Emily stood near the diner's back door, the the sounds of Valentine's Day buzzing around her like a lively swarm of bees. She could hear laughter, the clinking of silverware, and the occasional shout of affection. But it all felt distant, muted by the chaos inside her mind. She had less than 10 hours left to find a date, and the gravity of that, reality settled heavily on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, gazing at the snowflakes that danced their way down from the gray sky through the diner's plastic window. Each flake was delicate and unique, much like the moment she yearned for but never quite grasped. Her fingers tapped nervously against her thigh as she mentally shuffled through names and faces, trying to remember someone who might see her for who she was, not just her last name. With the diner bustling, she approached Donnie, her best friend since childhood, who was taking a break in the corner booth. Donnie was always a source of encouragement. Her infectious enthusiasm might just be the boost Emily needed. "Donnie," she called out, sliding into the booth across from her. "I need your help. I have to find a Valentine's date by midnight. Any ideas?" Donnie paused, her smoothie halfway to her mouth, surprise evident in her eyes. "A date? You've got your pick of half the town. There's Ryan, Alex, even Tommy." Emily shook her head vigorously. "No, no one I know, someone who sees me for me. Not my family drama." Donnie's expression shifted, the empathy in her eyes replacing mischief. "What about Marcus?" Emily felt a spark of recognition. Marcus had always been sweet, someone she'd gone to high school with, and he'd always had a way of making her laugh. "Yeah, but I don't know. What if he thinks I'm just doing this for pity? What if he doesn't?" Donnie countered, leaning forward, bright-eyed. "Maybe this is your chance to see if there's something more. Why not just take the leap?" It was a familiar life lesson. You never know unless you try. Taking a deep breath, Emily felt a rush of determination. "Okay, I'll text him." As she fumbled with her phone, an unexpected flutter of nerves washed over her. Closing her eyes for a brief moment, she sent the message simply. "Hey, Marcus, it's Emily. Want to grab dinner tonight?" Moments later, her phone chimed with a reply. "Sure, I'd love to. What time?" Emily's heart lifted, the first real hint of optimism surfacing in the haze of uncertainty. 7. Sounds great. Joy blossomed inside her, but there was still the weight of her father's looming presence. Would he be watching? Would the tension they shared overshadow even her sweetest moments? Before she could spiral, there was a sudden clatter near the kitchen. Emily turned just in time to see a tray of glasses teetering before crashing to the floor. She rushed to help her fellow waitress, adrenaline propelling her. "What was that?" Donnie asked, standing up as the commotion settled. "Just a spill." "But it feels like my whole life is spilling out of control," Emily admitted, shaking her head. "I have so much to juggle." "Just think of it as a chaos you can turn into a dance," Donnie suggested playfully. And they both chuckled, the warmth of her friend's support lending strength. Emily's shifts at the diner continued, but thoughts of Marcus occupied her mind. In a town that felt both familiar and foreign, could this be the moment that reshaped her reality? As she wiped down tables, she realized she was still balancing love and family in every decision she made. However, with every tick of the clock, doubt crept in. Would this date really change anything? Or would it deepen the chasm between her father and herself? Time was running out, and with it, her chance to find out what she truly wanted. As shadows lengthened outside the diner, she took one last look around the room, catching glimpses of couples rejoicing together. But was she ready to let someone into her heart? With each passing minute, Emily felt the urgency building. The clock was ticking down, not just to Valentine's Day, but to her chance at something real. Would she have the courage to seize it? Or would she allow fear to hold her back once more? The Valentine's clock kept ticking, and Emily knew this night would echo long after the last song faded away. Emily glanced at the clock. The hands ticked toward 6, and the weight of anticipation felt heavy in her chest. She finished her shift, knowing she needed to get ready for her date with Marcus. A mix of excitement and apprehension bubbled within her. Was she really going to go through with it? Donnie waved goodbye as Emily slipped out of the diner, the cool evening air so crisp it tingled against her cheeks. She pulled her jacket tighter, feeling the texture of the fabric scratch against her skin, grounding her in the reality of her decision. As she walked home, the streets gleamed beneath the streetlights, illuminated by soft golden hues. Couples strolled past, fingers intertwined, and laughter rang out like chimes in the air. Emily couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy. They seemed so connected, while her heart felt like it was still navigating uncharted waters. The moment she stepped into her room, Emily was bombarded with mixed emotions. She stared at the closet, contemplating what to wear. An outfit that conveyed confidence as well as a touch of her true self. Her fingers flicked through dresses, then paused at a simple navy blue number. Classic yet charming, it was a dress she'd often felt, both beautiful and comfortable in. After slipping it on, she turned to the mirror, his reflection staring back at her, a familiar stranger. With a gentle smile, she touched her hair. It was a small act of self-care, a reminder that she was worth the effort, worth the time. Time ticked by mercilessly, and soon it was 6:50. Panic squeezed her chest. What if she messed up? What if her father's disapproval loomed over this evening, suffocating her joy? Just breathe, she whispered to herself, forcing her shoulders to drop as she moved to grab her coat. She needed to leave. A quick glance at her phone confirmed she was right on time. Her pulse quickened as she stepped out into the night, determination pushing her forward. The diner wasn't far, and the familiar path felt comforting under her feet. As she approached the entrance, she spotted Marcus leaning casually against the wall outside the diner. He wore a light jacket, and a bright smile spread across his face when he saw her. It made her heart flutter, a joyous rhythm that seemed to chase away her doubts. "Hey, Emily," he called, stepping forward. "Hey," she replied, her voice a mix of nerves and excitement. He was charming, and the way he looked at her made her feel seen. But with her father's critical voice echoing in her head, she hesitated, feeling the familiar weight of expectation settle back in. "Wow, you look great." "I love that dress," Marcus said, his eyes sparkling with genuine admiration. She blushed slightly, gratitude washing over her. "Thanks, you look nice too." As they made their way inside, the warm aroma of cooked meals enveloped them, the sounds of laughter and clinking dishes creating a comforting atmosphere. Marcus pulled out a seat for Emily, a small gesture that made her heart swell. "What do you want to eat?" he asked, scanning the menu. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from her dad, reminding her of the family expectations waiting at home. The lightheartedness of the moment dimmed at the weight of his words. Emily sighed and glanced at Marcus. Could she simply let go and enjoy tonight? Everything okay? He asked, concern creasing his brow. Yeah, just thinking about family stuff, she confessed, pulling her gaze away from the screen. It's hard to feel normal sometimes. Marcus leaned closer, his expression softening. You're more than your family drama, Emily. You deserve to have fun too. His words resonated in her heart, but as she thought about the night ahead, the lingering fear clawed at her. Could she embrace what the evening had to offer without the shadows of her past haunting her? As they laughed and talked over dinner, Emily felt the walls of her uncertainty start to crack. But just as she began to relax, she noticed someone across the room, a familiar figure, unmistakably watching them. Her father. Emily's breath caught in her throat. What would he say? What would he do? Dread washed over her, the past crashing into the moment. She turned to Marcus, her heart racing. Would this night crumble before it had a chance to blossom? As the evening unfolded, Emily realized that sometimes the greatest battles don't happen out loud, but within. Would she muster the courage to navigate this night and forge her own path, or would fear finally silence her? The flutter of panic in Emily's chest pulsed with every breath. She could feel the heat rising to her cheeks as she stole subtle glances at her father. Sitting alone at the back of the diner, his stern expression narrowing her world down to just the two of them. Every table chatter, every clink of silverware seemed to fade into a dull whisper, drowning in the rush of adrenaline coursing through her. What's wrong? Marcus's voice cut through her fog. He leaned in, his eyes filled with concern and curiosity. But all Emily could see was her father's disappointed gaze like a thundercloud looming over a sunny day. She stammered, casting a sideways glance at her father again. I just didn't expect to see someone I know here. The words felt weak in her throat, but revealing the truth felt like opening a floodgate. Is it someone you want to avoid? Marcus asked gently, his expression shifting from concern to determination. We can go somewhere else if that's what you want. The offer hung in the air, floating like a lifeline, but could she really just walk away? As she weighed the options, Emily felt the weight of her father's expectations tower above her, a silent accusation of fleeing from the responsibilities of family, the ideals he held so rigidly. No, she finally replied, forcing strength into her voice. I don't want to run. I want to stand my ground. Yet as she said it, a pulse of doubt pounded against her resolve. Emily straightened her spine. Sorry, I just need a moment. With newfound determination, she turned to face Marcus. Can we, just keep talking? I want to enjoy our time together. Marcus nodded his smiling nerves. They resumed their conversation, the laughter coming more easily now, but Emily's mind lingered on the steady gaze of her father. She could feel the rift between the girl he wanted her to be and the woman she was becoming, pulling taut and painful. In the midst of a story Marcus was telling, she felt a sudden urge to glance back at her father. To her shock, he was no longer staring. Instead, he was engaged in conversation with someone at the counter, seemingly distracted. Relief surged through her like a cool breeze on a hot day, momentarily pushing the dread from her mind. Everything okay now? Marcus asked, catching her eye. Better, she admitted, a smile breaking through. Thanks for being so understanding. The small moments of connection felt like raindrops refreshing her dry earth. As they chatted, Emily let the conversation flow freely, allowing herself to immerse in the lightness of the moment. The specter of her father slowly began to fade from her thoughts until a server arrived with their meals, disrupting their cocoon of laughter. As they dug into their plates, playful banter filled the spaces, and Emily could feel warmth blooming in her chest. This was nice, Yvonne. But just as her instincts began to settle, she caught sight of movement again within the diner. Her father's figure broke into her thoughts, now directly approaching their table. Emily, his voice was stern, ringing like an alarm bell in the calm air. Can we talk? Her heart dropped. She glanced at Marcus, uncertainty swelling in her chest again. It's okay. I'll be right back, she said, trying to reassure Marcus while trembling internally. Father's eyes were unreadable, a storm brewing that she couldn't ignore. The weight of his presence pressed down on her, and as she stood, the table felt like it could collapse beneath her. Would this conversation shatter the brave, flickering light of the night? She stepped away, her pulse racing. The restaurant faded into background noise as her father beckoned her outside. Emily, he began, his tone serious, but she couldn't catch the full grasp of his words as she stood waiting. What lay ahead? She took a deep breath, reaching deep within for every ounce of courage she had. Would she defend herself this time, or would she drift like an old memory back to the past she despised? With each step toward the entrance, uncertainty tightened its grip. What was coming next? Would this finally define who she was, or would it become yet another moment where she felt small? As the door swung shut behind her, all she could think was that she was ready to fight for her happiness, whatever the outcome. But she had to ask herself, would she be ready for whatever came next? The cold night air hit Emily like a wave as she stepped outside. Her father's towering figure loomed before her, and for a moment, she felt as though she were back in their living room, caught in the crossfire of another heated argument. The streetlights flickered above them, creating a surreal halo around his silhouette. Emily, he began again, his voice steady but taut. I don't understand what's going on with you. She swallowed hard, the heat of embarrassment creeping up her neck. I'm fine, Dad. I just wanted to see my friend. Is that what you call Marcus now? A friend? The way he said the word friend dripped with skepticism. I saw how you were laughing back there, how you were hanging on every word he said. His words stung. She wanted to argue, to lash out at the unfairness of it all. But a small part of her wanted to explain, to bridge the chasm that had been growing between them. He makes me laugh, Dad. Isn't that what friends do? Your laughter should come from your family, he replied sharply. I just wish you'd recognize that. Her heart hammered in her chest. But I need more than just family. Dad, I need to be me. Emily took a step closer, feeling the tension like an electric charge in the air. You keep pushing me to be someone I'm not. I'm not that girl you want me to be. His expression shifted, uncertainty eclipsing anger for a brief moment. I'm trying to protect you. You're in a fragile place. And what happens if your friend leads you astray? I'm not fragile, she insisted, her voice stronger now. I just want to explore who I am. As she spoke, her father's defenses seemed to falter. The way he looked at her changed, if only for a second. She could see the glimmer of love hidden beneath impatience. the struggle of a man grappling with the idea of letting go. "Emily, all I want is for you to be happy," he said carefully, the edge of his voice softer now. "But how can I trust you if you keep making choices I don't understand?" "Maybe if you tried to understand me," she replied, lifting her chin. "I'm not asking you to agree with everything I do. I just want a chance to live my life." Silence fell between them, thick and heavy. It was hard to breathe, and the world around them blurred into insignificance. She could almost hear the echoes of his uncertain thoughts, a father questioning if he had done right by her. "Can we at least try?" she asked, her voice breaking just slightly. "Try to understand each other, just for tonight." He hesitated, the internal battle playing out on his face. Emily felt hope ignite within her, bright and fragile. A flicker she was afraid to chase too hard. Finally, he nodded, but his expression was still guarded. "I'll try." "I'll keep trying too," she promised, feeling that flicker of warmth grow stronger. It was a small victory, but it meant everything to her. "All right," he said, "let's go back inside." Then, as they turned to re-enter the diner, Emily felt a weight lift, but an ember of uncertainty remained. Would this moment of understanding be enough to create something lasting? As they crossed the threshold into the bustling diner, she caught Marcus's eye, waiting for her with that easy smile. Would her father's acceptance shift her relationship with Marcus? The tension between the three of them felt electric, ready to ignite. And as her father settled beside her at the table, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a new chapter. What revelations would they uncover together? And would Emily find a way to make space for all the parts of her life, family, friendship, and her own aspirations? The night was still young, and she felt the pulse of possibility beating beneath her skin. Would this fragile peace sustain itself, or would more storms brew on the horizon? Inside the diner, the cacophony of voices and clattering dishes enveloped Emily as they walked in. It felt good to be surrounded by the familiar hum of laughter and chatter, yet the weight of her earlier conversation with her father lingered. She slid into the booth across from Marcus, his smile infectious, but it was met with her father's watchful gaze. "How's it going?" Marcus asked, leaning closer, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. "It's complicated," Emily replied, glancing sideways at her father. He stirred his coffee, looking contemplative, trying to maintain an air of casualness that felt forced. "Complicated?" "I'll help with that," Mark was tigering. "Why don't we escape this place and find some ice cream instead?" Emily's heart raced at the idea. Ice cream sounded delightful, a chance to be free from the seriousness enveloping her family moment. "You know what? That sounds amazing." "Let me guess," her father interjected, a hint of disbelief in his tone. "You two are just going to head off into the night without telling anyone where you are?" "It's just ice cream, Dad," Emily replied. "We'll be back in a little while." He sighed, his brows knitting together. "I'd prefer you stay here. There are plenty of people around. You don't know what could happen." Marcus's expression shifted, a shadow of uncertainty crossing his face. Emily felt the urge to defend their plan, but noticed her father's shoulders relax slightly. "I'll text you when we get back," she offered. "I promise." "Fine," her father said, though there was a crack in his armor. "Just be careful." As they stood to leave, Emily caught a glimpse of unexpected warmth from her father. It filled her with a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. She quickly turned to Marcus, forcing a smile that mirrored his. Once outside, the cold air hit her again, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. They hurried down the sidewalk, laughter bubbling between them as they navigated streetlights and puddles. "You really know how to liven up a moment," Marcus said, flashing her that playful smirk. "I thought the evening was done for when I saw your dad." "Trust me, I feel like I've just fought a battle," Emily admitted, "but you did great." Standing up to him like that, he replied, the admiration in his voice warming her from the inside out. Deep down, the insecurities bubbled. Did Marcus really get it? Was she taking too much for granted? She tried to shake it off. They arrived at the ice cream shop, the enchanting scent of waffle cones wafting through the door. However, as they stepped inside, Emily's mind raced. She observed the colorful menu overhead, where flavors danced between the mundane and the exotic. What if Marcus didn't like what she liked? What if this moment faltered like so many before? "Chocolate chip cookie dough for me," Marcus exclaimed, eyes bright with enthusiasm. "I mean, you can't beat the classics." "Classic is safe," Emily said, heart racing slightly. "But maybe I'll choose something wild like lavender honey." "Wow, brave choice. You live on the edge," he laughed. As they placed their orders, she felt something shift within her, a thread connecting them. It was more than just ice cream. It was about friendship growing without the weight of looming expectations. They sat outside, the chilly night air weaving around them. And Marcus began sharing a silly story about his younger sister and a botched birthday party that had everyone in stitches. In that moment, laughter washed over her, mingling with the sweet taste of lavender honey. But like a cloud drifting over a sunny sky, Emily felt anxiety gnawing at her heart. What if her father never really accepted Marcus? What if this was just a fleeting moment, shattered by reality when they returned? And just then a familiar face walked by, a friend from her past, someone whose very presence twisted the very fabric of her evening. "Emily," the voice called out, freezing her in place. Suddenly, she felt a dozen questions pressing down on her. What would this person think of Marcus? And more importantly, would it change everything? Emily's heart raced as she turned toward the voice that had interrupted their laughter. There, just a few feet away, stood Jamie, her former best friend from middle school. His eyes were wide with surprise, his expression shifting from recognition to confusion as he glanced between her and Marcus. "Hey, I didn't expect to see you here," Jamie said, his tone a mix of genuine joy and a hint of disbelief. It was a voice she once found comfort in, though now it felt like a thin thread tying her back to a world she was trying to step away from. "Yeah, just out for ice cream," she managed, her words feeling too casual, almost forced. "What about you?" "Just getting a late-night snack with some friends." He shrugged and gestured behind him at a small group lingering near the entrance. "Looks like old times, huh?" "Kind of," Emily replied, catching the way Jamie studied Marcus with a slight frown. She felt vulnerable under his gaze, her chest tightening. Would Jamie judge her for the friends she had now, or worse, for the ones she had lost? "Nice to meet you, man," Jamie said, extending a hand towards Marcus, who hesitated for a moment before stepping forward to shake it. "Marcus, you?" "Jamie," he replied, his grip firm but his eyes cautious. "So, do you guys know each other from?" "A bit," Emily interrupted, deciding it was better not to dig too deep into the past. "We've been hanging out lately." "As friends, I hope?" Jamie shot a quick glance at Emily, his expression challenging, leaving barely masked questions hanging in the air. Emily felt a sharp heat rush to her cheeks. Was this Jamie's way of questioning her choices? Did he disapprove? In her gut, she sensed a subtle shift, an invisible barrier rising that felt more intimidating than before. "Yup, just friends," Marcus said, throwing Emily a quick smile that felt warm yet reassuring. "Ice cream buddies at the moment." "Right." Jamie's brow furrowed just a little, as if he could sense the hint of tension. "You've changed, Em. I mean, look at you." "It's been a while, Jamie," she replied, keeping her tone light. "We've all changed, I guess." "Sure, but I didn't think you'd be the one to go for more adventurous flavors now." His smile wavered slightly, and Emily felt her stomach churn. "Lavender honey isn't that wild," she defended, even though she felt the weight of his words. Coming from Jamie, it carried a sting, as if he were suggesting she had somehow lost touch with who she really was. Right then, Jamie's group of friends laughed, the sound bubbling up like a frothy wave crashing into the shore. It jolted Emily back to reality. She glanced at Marcus, who seemed caught between amusement and confusion. She needed to pull this moment back to lightheartedness. "Have you tried the lavender flavor?" she asked, pushing back her unease, hoping to change the subject. "It's amazing." "Not my thing, but hey, I'm all about classics." Jamie laughed, and for a heartbeat, everything felt okay again. Emily forced a smile, welcoming a slight shift in the air, but she could still feel boundaries cropping up around her. She didn't want to let Jamie or anyone else's opinion dictate her choices, not anymore. "Anyway, we should catch up sometime, just like old days," Jamie said, and there was a flash of something genuine in his eyes. "It'd be good to reconnect." "Yeah, sure, that'd be nice," Emily nodded, feeling her heart race. As Jamie stepped back to rejoin his friends, she felt a quiet tension settle over her. What just happened? She wondered. Marcus broke the silence, looking thoughtful. "That was interesting, right?" Emily's head spun with possibilities. What did he mean by that? "Guess we'll get to find out." "But I can tell he wasn't your biggest fan," Marcus remarked. "Guess it's complicated," she said, her thoughts swirling again, a mix of conflicting emotions pulling her between the present and the past. As they finished their ice cream, Emily realized the night wasn't over yet. The questions left a nest hung heavy in the air, and the stakes felt higher than ever. What did Jamie's unexpected appearance mean for her and Marcus? Would it push her to confront the ghosts of her past, or pull her closer to the warmth of new beginnings? The night felt charged, and as they stepped back into the chilly air, she knew something was about to change. Would she have the courage to embrace whatever was coming next? The cold air enveloped Emily as they stepped outside, the vibrant sounds of the ice cream parlor fading behind them. She glanced at Marcus, who was busy texting someone on his phone, and for a moment, she let her thoughts drift. Jamie's presence had stirred something inside her, a mix of nostalgia and doubt. She remembered the afternoons spent skateboarding, sharing secrets, and mapping out dreams under the sprawling oak tree behind their middle school. But then the passage of time pulled them apart, sharpening the distance between old friends. Was Jamie still the same, or had he morphed into someone unrecognizable? "Everything okay?" Marcus asked, breaking her train of thought as he looked up from his screen, concern etched on his face. "Yeah, just thinking," she replied, forcing a smile. "You seemed a little uneasy back there." He inclined his head toward the parlor as they walked side by side. "It's just Jamie. We had a lot of history, you know." She paused, eyes narrowing slightly. "I guess I didn't expect to run into him again, especially not here. Must be a weird mix of emotions, huh?" She nodded, grateful for his understanding. "Definitely. It brings up a lot of things I thought I had put behind me." The sidewalks glittered under the streetlights, small details coming to life in the night. She caught glimpses of reflection in the shop windows. Sometimes, a shifting image felt closer to who she wanted to be. And often, the opposite made her back off in fear, want to do something spontaneous. Marcus asked, a playful spark lighting his eyes. "Like what?" Her brows raised in curiosity, though her heart whispered warnings. "How about we grab a snack somewhere different? There's that taco truck nearby that everyone raves about. It'll be fun. A little adventure for this chilly night." Emily hesitated, a flicker of anxiety making her stomach knot. Is it too soon for more adventures, especially with someone like Jamie back in the picture? Yet, her inner voice urged her to push past the comfort zone. "Okay, let's do it," she said, excitement bubbling beneath her nerves. Marcus smiled wide, and as they walked, the tension from earlier felt like it slipped further away. They reached the taco truck, the aroma of spices spilling in the air, pulling them in. The vibrant colors of the truck, illuminated by fairy lights, seemed alive with energy. As they stood in line, she let herself relax. They joked about the absurdity of trying to choose between all the options. When the order came out, they huddled over the food in the cold, smiles forming with each bite. "See, this is what life should be about," Marcus said, a taco half-eaten in his hand. "Long talks and unexpected tacos?" "Exactly." Just as Emily took a bite, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Jamie. "Hey, I just thought about your offer. Are you free tomorrow?" "I'd love to catch up, just the two of us." Her heart sank. A million emotions rushed in. Was she ready to step back into that world? Should she just ignore it? "Who is there?" Marcus asked, a hint of curiosity in the curve of his brows. Just a friend." She tucked the phone away, trying to shake off the uneasiness curling in her gut. "Sure, just a friend," he smirked, playful but insightful. "Wanna share your tacos with me, or do you need to go see this friend?" Emily met his gaze, her heart thumping louder now. "I want to, but..." Just then, the crisp air filled with distant laughter from a nearby gathering. Emily's heart raced as she stood at a crossroads. Should she explore the unexpected, or stay tethered to old memories that still stung? As she looked at Marcus, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. What would she choose? Tomorrow promised everything to unfold, and she realized that sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most incredible journeys. What would she say to Jamie? And how would it affect her blossoming connection with Marcus? The night stretched on, but time seemed to slow as Emily wrestled with her thoughts. Around her, the laughter from the nearby gathering shimmered in the chill. and for a moment, she closed her eyes, letting the sounds wash over her. "Hey, Earth," to Emily. Marcus's voice pulled her back. "Sorry, just thinking too much, I guess." She forced a laugh, attempting to lighten the tension. "About Jamie?" She nodded, tilting her head back slightly. "I mean, it's just weird, right? Running into him like that after all these years. It stirs up so many feelings." "You're not obligated to meet him," Marcus replied, his voice softening as he spoke. "You're living your life now. You're here with me." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Marcus had a way of making her feel grounded, and for him to be there now, it reassured her in a world that felt suddenly chaotic. "I know. It's just," she hesitated, searching for words. "It's like opening an old book. What if I don't like the story anymore?" "Then you close the book and rewrite it," he said confidently, his eyes sparkling. His words lit a hope inside her. Maybe it was time to stop letting her past dictate her present. "Let me call him," Emily suddenly declared, her heart racing. "I'll just tell him I'm busy." "Okay," Marcus replied, his smile wavering slightly at her sudden decision. She fished her phone from her pocket, the cold surface sending a shiver up her arm as she scrolled through her messages. The words felt heavy on her fingertips. She hesitated, recalling the carefree days with Jamie and the inevitable rush of their shared glittering memories. But then the gentle bump of Marcus's shoulder against hers snapped her back. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for, Emily. Just be honest." Exhaling slowly, she pressed his contact, hesitating before tapping the screen. "Maybe I could just say I'm—" Her phone buzzed again. "From Jamie. Seriously, let's meet. I'll pick you up." Emily's pulse quickened. Her thoughts tangled. Could she really just ignore him? Was she ready to confront all the emotions bound in those years? "Okay, you know what?" She spoke aloud, more to herself than to Marcus. "I'm going to meet him. Are you sure?" There was a flicker of concern on Marcus's face, and it pulled at her heart. "I'm free tomorrow, anyway, and I think I need to face it. Just remember your happiness is what matters. Jamie is in your past. Focus on your present." "Thanks, Marcus." His support eased her mind even as the jitters settled deep in her stomach. Tomorrow felt looming, but she had a plan. They finished their tacos in silence, Emily reflecting on her choice. A sliver of uncertainty crept in as she glanced at Marcus, who had pulled out his own phone, texting someone. She admired how easily he moved on, how he seemed present with her, yet respected this history she had with Jamie. But sitting there, she couldn't shake the feeling that every decision had weight. Would facing Jamie mean scattering old wounds, or could it lead to a healing she never knew she needed? With the cold air swirling around them and darkness deepening, she felt the sting of anticipation coupled with fear. What if reconnecting with Jamie ignited feelings she thought were long extinguished? The thought of tomorrow's meeting filled her with trepidation. But there was a part of her that craved closure, the kind that would let her completely embrace whatever future existed with Marcus. "Emily." Marcus's voice pulled her from her thoughts, and she looked up to see a knowing grin on his face. "Plan for a mini-adventure tomorrow, perhaps," she replied, forcing a smile. "After all, I need to see if Jamie is still the same. Or if you've changed enough to let him go," he added gently. Her heart thudded violently against her ribcage as she prepared to step into tomorrow. The question now burdened her. Would facing Jamie give her the answers she needed, the closure that could either bind her to the past or set her free? As they strolled back into the warmth of the night, a crucial thought loomed ahead. Would she find clarity in the past, or would the return of Jamie throw her life into an even more complicated orbit? The sun broke through the morning clouds as Emily prepared for her meeting with Jamie. She had barely slept, her mind racing with all the what-ifs. Would Jamie still be the carefree friend she once knew? Would their history push her back into old habits? Or had enough time passed for her to face him as a new version of herself? Dressed in her favorite sweater, cozy and warm against the cool air, she glanced in the mirror, searching for courage. "Just breathe," she whispered, convincing herself she could handle whatever would come next. She felt a flutter of nerves but also determination. The cafe where they agreed to meet shimmered in the sunlight, a warm haven of chatter and clinking coffee cups. As she stepped inside, the scent of fresh brews filled her senses, grounding her. There he was, sitting at a small table in the corner, his demeanor straightforward as he scanned the room. When their eyes met, a faint smile crept onto Jamie's face, yet uncertainty lingered in the air. "Hey?" She walked over, her heart pounding. "Hey, Aang." "It's been a while," he replied, an odd mix of enthusiasm and hesitance swirling in his voice. "Yeah, really." She slid into the seat across from him. The familiar blend of excitement and anxiety made her stomach twist again. They exchanged small talk about their lives after a moment of silence stretched between them, feeling both heavy and oddly comforting. Jamie told her about his new job, how he was moving forward, and for the first time, she actually listened. She wanted to support him, to be happy for him. But beneath the surface of their conversation, old memories whispered, tugging at her. "Jamie, I've missed so much of what you've been doing. I guess life just got in the way," she said softly, allowing traces of her vulnerability to escape. "You weren't the only one," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck, his gaze flickering. "Things got complicated for me too." "Like how?" She leaned forward, curiosity taking the better of her. He hesitated, looking for the right words, his fingers tapping lightly on the table. "You remember the crew? Things kind of fell apart after high school. Everyone moved on, and I didn't know how to keep it all together." The rush of memories hit her. The laughter, the adventures, and the way they had all drifted apart. "Yeah, I guess I felt that too," she nodded. "But I want to know how you're doing now. I've spent so long running from memories. I forgot to cherish the good." Emily watched Jamie's expression shift to something more open. "It's tough to break free from the past, isn't it? Sometimes I feel like we're all still stuck in those moments back then. You knew me, the fun-loving kid who I was before everything shifted. Sometimes we just need a reminder that it's okay to change," Emily said, her voice steady. "I'm realizing that I've changed too, and it's about time I own it." Jamie's eyes softened, a flicker of understanding lighting up the air. "You seem different, Emily, more grounded." "I'm trying. It's just that sometimes it feels like I'm weighed down by expectations. Like always trying to prove myself." A shared silence settled between them, heavy yet filled with potential. In that moment, Emily felt a warmth seep into her heart, softening the sharp edges of past resentment. Maybe this meeting wasn't just about revisiting the past. Perhaps it was about letting it go. Jamie finally broke the hush. I don't regret our friendship. I just want you to be happy. If that means we go our separate ways, I get it. But his words hit deeper. You know, I don't want the past to define us. We can create something new or, at least let the memories be just that, memories. As they spoke, Emily felt the shadows of judgment and guilt starting to thin out, replaced with understanding. Maybe Jamie wasn't the ghost of her past, but rather a companion who had walked a parallel path. Finishing their coffees, she took a deep breath, ready now to turn the page. Look, we've both changed, and I think that's okay. I want to keep the good memories but also make space for new ones. Let's make it count moving forward. A smile bros face genuine. Radiance mille milliers. I'd like that. As they left the cafe, the brightness of the day wrapped around them. Emily felt lighter, like she had shed the weight she didn't even realize she carried. The knots of uncertainty untangled, giving way to hope and healing. Walking back toward her home, she caught sight of Marcus waiting just around the corner. He leaned against a lamppost, a cheerful smile lighting his face as soon as he saw her. Hey, I was starting to wonder if you'd forgotten about me. Marcus teased, playful confidence emanating from him. Few words were needed as Emily approached him, both reassuring and exhilarating to be near. I met up with Jamie. It went surprisingly well, she said, her chest swelling with newfound courage. Good, I'm glad, he said, his eyes sparkling with approval. Thank you for encouraging me, she replied sincerely, standing closer now. Their energy electrified the air between them, weaving an unspoken connection, deeper than either of them had anticipated. Everything has a way of falling into place, doesn't it? He said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She flashed a radiant smile, feeling warmth rise in her cheeks. Yeah, it really does. With each step, Emily realized she was carving out a future brimming with possibilities, no longer haunted by what once was, but embracing who she was becoming. She could make room for laughter, connection, and a love that felt real. The sun dipped low in the sky, illuminating their path forward as they strolled side by side. And as Emily's heart thrummed with hope, she understood the journey was just beginning. Let's make this a Valentine's Day to remember, she said, her voice tinged with excitement. Absolutely, Marcus replied, echoing the feelings blooming between them. Together, they walked into the evening, ready to embrace all that lay ahead. And just like that, Emily stepped into the next chapter of her life. Armed with newfound self-worth and an open heart, ready for the incredible journey that awaited. Now, before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel, so you don't miss out on our next exclusive stories. Make sure to leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Don't forget to comment about your favorite moment from Emily's journey and how you feel about her transformation. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring story. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second. Let's keep building this amazing community together.